The Unbreakable Warrior. A young warrior, betrayed by his own people, rises from the ashes of despair to reclaim his honor and save his homeland from an impending invasion. Chapter 1. The Fall of Kale. Kale Stormborn had always been a warrior of unwavering spirit. Trained from childhood in the ways of the sword, he was destined to become the strongest protector of his village, Ironvale. He was fierce, loyal, and carried the blood of champions. Yet, fate had other plans. On the eve of the summer festival, a sinister plot unfolded. Kyle's closest friend, Darius, whom he had fought beside for years, betrayed him. The village council, manipulated by Darius, accused Kale of conspiring against Ironvale. The people he swore to protect turned against him. His weapons were stripped away, his honor shattered, and he was exiled into the unforgiving Shadowlands. Chapter 2. The Trials of the Exiled. The Shadowlands were no place for the weak. Only the most resilient could survive in this cursed wilderness filled with savage beasts and merciless outlaws. Kyle, however, was no ordinary man. Days turned into weeks as he fought through pain and hunger. With nothing but his fists and wits, he defended himself against relentless threats. He honed his senses, crafted weapons from the land, and learned to strike with precision and purpose. His body became a fortress, his mind a weapon. One night, he encountered an old warrior, known as the Ghost of the Shadowlands. The elder saw the fire in Kale's eyes and took him under his wing. "You were cast out," the old warrior said, "but exile does not mean defeat. You must become more than you were. Let the pain forge you into something greater." For months, Kyle trained under the warrior's brutal regimen. He learned to move like the wind, strike like lightning, and endure like stone. His spirit, once broken, became unbreakable. And then, the day came when the old warrior stood before him and said, "Your past does not define you, Kale. Your future does." With those words, Kale knew it was time to return. Chapter 3. The Return of the Warrior. Ironvale was on the brink of destruction. A warlord from the east, Malakar the Tyrant, had gathered an army to seize the village. The people, once proud and strong, were now defenseless. Darius, the very man who had betrayed Kale, was powerless against the approaching doom. Kale stood on a hill overlooking his homeland. The sight ignited something deep within him. He was no longer the outcast. He was no longer the betrayed. He was a warrior, reborn. As night fell, he infiltrated Ironvale and sought out the elders. Shock and shame painted their faces when they saw him. "You cast me out," Kyle said, his voice like steel, "but I am still one of you. I will fight, not for your forgiveness, but for my people." Darius stepped forward, guilt clouding his eyes. "Kale, I was wrong. I let my greed blind me. But now, we need you." Kale did not respond. He did not need to. He had already made his choice. Chapter 4. The Battle for Ironvale. As the sun rose, so did the warriors of Ironvale, led by Kale. He stood at the front, a symbol of resilience and strength. Malakar's army stormed the village, their battle cries echoing across the valley. But they did not expect what awaited them. Kale fought like a storm unleashed. His blade danced through the battlefield, cutting down foes with unmatched precision. The people of Ironvale, inspired by his courage, fought with newfound strength. Hours passed like seconds, and soon the enemy's forces crumbled under Kale's leadership. He faced Malakar in the final duel, a clash of titans. The warlord was powerful, but Kale was relentless. With one final strike, he ended the tyrant's reign. Ironvale was saved. Chapter 5. The Legacy of Kale. The village elders humbled and grateful, restored Kale's honor. But he did not seek recognition. He had learned that true strength came not from titles, but from the battles one overcomes. When asked to become the leader of Ironvale, he refused. A warrior's duty is not to rule, but to protect. With that, he vanished into the horizon, a legend whispered in the wind. He had reclaimed his honor, but more importantly, he had proven that no betrayal, no exile, no hardship could break the spirit of a true warrior. And so, the name Kale Stormborn became more than a name. It became a symbol of resilience, of redemption, of the unbreakable warrior. Moral of the story: life will throw betrayals, hardships, and trials your way, but you are not defined by how you fall. You are defined by how you rise. Let every struggle forge you into something greater. Be like Kale. Be unbreakable.